Hey everybody, what's going on? You are listening to the Playing On Podcast. My name is Carl Markowski, and thank you for joining me. It's been a while. Holy shit. I apologize, man. I've had so many things come up. I have a couple projects coming out, hopefully soon. The Chicago event just got over with. You know, that for the past 3 weeks has been chaos trying to get practices in and just to kind of stay focused and and excuse me. It's I've had a lot of stuff on my plate recently, and but that aside, now I have a little bit of time after the tournament, and I have a lot of podcasts that are lined up. This one I was excited for in particular, with Alex Fraige from Dynasty. Excuse me. Actually, before we get into that, I just want to get into our sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by Dr. Paintball, where you can finance all kinds of crazy paintball equipment, from soft goods to markers, to used gear as well. But the special thing happening right now over at drpaintball.com is they are giving away a Dye M2. So I don't know the details, but I think it's if you spend over $50, you get 10 free entries. You can find all the details over at drpaintball.com. Great website, great guys. They're out of San Diego, but make sure you go check out the website and all of the awesome gear. Thank you, Dr. Paintball. We are also brought to you by Charm City Paintball, where I actually kind of hooked up with him, and we are coming out. Or not we coming out. We actually have out the pack bands that I still have some available, only a few, but if you head over to the Charm City Paintball Facebook page, you can see all the products that he makes. He makes head ties, head wraps, headbands, the pack bands for me, but high quality stuff and high quality fabrics. And he only makes, I think, runs of like 10 of each, so everything is limited, but it's great stuff. Thank you to Charm City Paintball. We are also brought to you by Carbon Paintball. If you guys haven't seen yet, we are coming out. We have some products out of the CC line. We have the SC line, but we also have the CC line, which is going to be pants, jerseys, gloves, packs, all kinds of great stuff. Still great high quality, high quality materials and product. It's just a little bit more affordable, for everybody who wants to get some of the carbon gear. But if you head over to carbonpaintball.com, you can see all the upcoming products over at the website. So thank you to Carbon. And lastly, thank you to Planet Eclipse. Slowly but surely, I see people out there shooting more LVRs and LV1s. I'm turning people over to them. But it speaks for itself, man. I had a little chance to talk to J-Rab a little bit, which is going to be a future podcast. But I got the chance to talk to him because he has his own signature series, LV 1.5, that is out. I talked to him, and I also talked to, oh my God, now I can't think of it. Brown. I talked to Keith Brown. Jeez. Sorry, Keith. But they both shoot the LV1 now, and they said nothing but positive things about it. And I'm trying to get everyone on and it's not really a bandwagon. It's just, it is what it is. It's a great product. It's a great marker. And I stand behind that thing, man, because that marker has got me out of some jams. And I just love the way it shoots. It's so smooth and crisp, and it's just, bada. So make sure you guys head over to planeteclipse.com and check out all of the awesome markers. So thank you to all of our sponsors. And now we are into the podcast. Alex Fraige, San Diego Dynasty, jeez, founding member, and he's been around forever, man. He's always constantly out in the light. He's been nothing but an awesome figure for kids to look up to and to watch. He's not the standout athlete or this or that on the team. His personality stands out for me, and he's a great guy. Has had a great career, and a founder of one of the, if not the best paintball team that has ever been around, most winningest, that's for sure. But I had a great time talking to him, and it was really cool. Him and I were kind of going back and forth about each other's careers, and it's cool to be able to do that. And for being someone that I looked up to and having Alex say those things, it was really cool, and it meant so much to me. And I'm so glad that I was able to do this with him, and that he had the time to do this. So enough of my babbling. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the Alex Fraige podcast. We'll see you at the end. Alrighty, Alex Fraige, how you doing, man?
What's up, brother?
What's new? I like your attire.
I just I keep this up on the wall in my bedroom.
I thought you just wear it all the time. That's what I thought you just always wear it. So
no, it's up in a frame there, but occasionally on if my wife's feeling frisky, I'll take it down and let her wear it, and figured today was a special occasion, so
looks good on you though.
Thanks. Yeah.
Well, speaking of, like, you've only played for Dynasty, correct?
Yeah, that's my deal. I was born a Dynasty guy, and I will die a Dynasty guy. So that's probably the only pro team I'll ever play for.
That's good though, man. Not very many people can say that though. I think that's very cool. I mean, obviously, I would have loved to have done it, but with somebody like yourself, and I believe was Ryan also and Yosh, those guys too.
No, just Ryan. Yosh actually played for the Ironman when he was playing for the Ironman when we started Dynasty. So Yosh and Oliver weren't actually founding members of the team. So Ryan and I are the only guys that have been there throughout. And yeah, that is pretty rare that you find guys like that these days. But back in the day, I feel like there's a lot of guys that were like that. Like, Rocky Cagnoni was only on Avalanche, Shane Pistana only on Ironman, Bruno, Adamson, those dudes only on Shock. That was like more of a thing that you were part of a tribe. And now it's like you get guys jumping around looking for something better, teams that can afford to fly guys around and poach guys and that sort of thing. I'd always thought it would be interesting if they made big league sports like that. Like, if you want to play on the Giants, you better be from San Francisco. Like, that's a rule.
That'd be pretty cool. I mean, I think that's what happened too. Is but I mean, if you think back, like when paintball in its heyday, when the money was really flowing, so you didn't really see that many people jumping over to different teams, even though the money was there, or where the players weren't really getting paid. It was more or less the teams that were well funded.
I think there was always maybe a few teams, like it's still like that, where there's a guarantor, like some guy with a lot of money that's going to come in and pay for the talent. Mm-hmm. And those teams will seek out the players they want. But other than that, I think it's on the players. Like maybe a kid would, like Oliver, let's say, always want to play for the Ironman. Mm-hmm. And that was his goal. Or like, maybe JR always wanted to play for Avalanche. So that was his goal. And even if he lived in Washington or whatever, he'd go to where he needed to go play for Avalanche. Like we've had guys like that throughout the history of our team that really want to play for Dynasty, so they moved to California, Yeah. And it's like, it's not a monetary thing. It's their goal in their career.
Yeah, in like the paintball realm, I remember even being young, playing for Tippmann and all those teams. Well, all those teams. I really won that team. The only team that I played for on coming up through Ohio, but you guys were one of those teams of young talent that for us was so closely relatable because you guys were so young when you were starting out, and your success brought on so young with obviously a bunch of hard work. And I think that whole 10,000 hour rule came into play. But actually, before we get into that, like and the history of Dynasty and everything, and how did yourself come across the sport, and what was it like starting to play in California at that time?
So just like any teenage kid, I liked playing Manhunt and gun stuff and cap guns and laser tag and all that. And I'd heard of paintball, but it was kind of more like just a myth. And a buddy of actually an acquaintance of Oliver and myself actually had a paintball gun and knew where to play. So he brought us out one day, and I think it was probably like 95 or 96. And, after that we were hooked. And incidentally, the owner of the paintball field was my little sister's softball coach. at the time. So I kind of knew him in a roundabout way, and he's still the manager of our team, Eric Crandall. And,
Oh, really?
yeah, so that's, he was really instrumental in, kind of nurturing our early career and introducing us to each other and all that stuff. And I mean, I remember the first day I played, I foolishly rented the pump gun instead of the semi-automatic. And I mean, it was a mess. I'm pretty sure I didn't shoot one single person. And if I did, I didn't know it. But, I came home with a bunch of welts, and it was really a lot of fun, and ended up being a really good thing, positive thing for me and my dad, because my parents had recently been divorced, and I was able to, spend those weekends with my dad going to the paintball field and, having that kind of father-son type of thing. And, really some of my fondest memories growing up were out at the paintball field with, Oliver, Ryan, Yosh, and my dad.
Now, did your mom know about this, and did she take you at all?
No, my mom maybe dropped us off there once or twice, and she knew about it, but she was not into it to start out. Like,
No.
She was very hesitant to, she wasn't into the gun thing. She saw the welts, thought it was like a war game type of thing.
Yeah.
And I remember her asking me, how long are you going to do this paintball thing? And in my mind, I was like, dude, it's so fun, and this is before really the whole tournament thing became a thing for us. It was just going out there and playing walk-ons for fun and that. And, 4 or 5 years later, she's my biggest fan, coming to the tournaments and all that. So it's a good lesson, I guess, for some parents. If your kid's really into something, you should support it, and no matter how weird it seems. And I think you have a similar story. You were athletically gifted and decided to choose paintball. And,
my parents weren't in agreement, with that, to start off with. And you don't really, and it, only players, I don't want to say players like us, but players in general kind of know, like, what it does to your mind and your body and everything when you step on a paintball field or in the woods or something. When you just play paintball, period, you don't really know that experience until you actually do it, and with that adrenaline rush that it gives you. And it's something that you don't really, unless you play paintball, you don't know.
Right, and that's the big sell. Like, whenever I'm trying to pitch somebody to either sponsor paintball or, play paintball or do, anything in paintball, it's get them to play. Mm-hmm. So, if I want to get sponsored by Rockstar, it's not good enough just to send them a press kit or whatever. You've got to get the rep out and play, because watching it doesn't do the trick. You have to get in there and feel it and be in that moment. And that's what's really great about paintball. And I think that's really the most basic reason that, we're still playing, is because of that feeling that you're able to tap into during the actual game.
So is that how you guys were able to get sponsored by Rockstar? How did that come about?
I don't even remember. I know the guy, the owner of Rockstar, I think is Mike Weiner, or I don't know. He's the son of Michael Savage, who's like the conservative radio show guy. And I think he knew Eric through a roundabout way, because he's from this area, the North Bay. And, it really had to do with TV time. Like, during that time, there was several TV deals for paintball, and it could have been any team, but what they wanted was assurance that their logo was going to be on TV for X amount of time. It could be paintball, it could be golf, it could be motorboat racing, whatever it is. And we were able to provide that, and so they, paid us some pretty good dough to do that, which we squandered, obviously.
You guys were in the position to do that, though. I mean, what better way than getting the number one team in anything to rock your logo? And I think, but that's what paintball has kind of been lacking. We can always sponsor within the sport, right? Sponsored by GI, sponsored by Field One, or Wave Planet Eclipse, whatever. But it's always trying to find that outer sponsorship of the Under Armours and the Nikes and or even the Red Bulls and GoPros or whatever. And I just, it always boggles my mind, because I don't know why it doesn't stick. I mean, there's always an interest, right? But it never hooks, and I never know why.
Well, we're a niche industry, and like you said, we really need to support ourselves. And if it's not on TV, it's never going to be, you're never going to get that exposure that those companies need to justify sponsoring something like this. And I don't think it'll ever be on TV consistently because it just doesn't work.
Right.
There's no focal point. There's no ball you can follow. There's no hockey puck you can follow. It's just, you can show highlight reels and stuff like those HK videos that are exciting, but you can show those for 10 minutes at a time. Yeah. But it's just, I've been around it long enough and seen that sponsorship and outside industry stuff wax and wane. And it's just, what has to happen is we have to exist within our own industry. And if something outside comes, it's great. It's a huge bonus, but it can't be forced.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's going to be a league sponsorship thing instead of like an individual team. I think the NXL gets sponsored by some bigger company.
Yeah, fine.
Tries to drive, but it's got to be internal. We got to grow from within, for sure.
And Under Armour's doing some cool stuff now. Actually, the whole way that started is in World Cup 2015. Our team was at Whole Foods, and this guy recognized me in the produce section. He's like, "Hey, are you on Dynasty?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, I used to play paintball, and now I'm the head of the lacrosse division at Under Armour, and I'd like to kick you guys down some shoes." And so, he gave us some free product, and with paintball players, that'll go a long way. We'll pump it, and without getting any cash or anything like that, just a couple of pairs of free shoes. And then, he realized that they may have seen something where they got that little bit of traction and a little bit of buzz from the paintball community. And now ANS is selling Under Armour stuff, and, they're kicking down shoes to Ironman and a couple of the other teams. And, that's interesting at least. And, it works, but Under Armour, it works for everybody because Under Armour's not dumping out a ton of money. And, the paintball players are happy because they're getting a couple pairs of free shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Nike was trying to get into it for a little bit. At least I think we're still sponsored by Nike. I don't even know. But it's cool just to see those little glimpses of something possibly happening, with these teams or with the sport, because it doesn't make me sad that we have to try and grow from within or anything like that. It's just the potential for it. You know what I mean? I mean, you've been in it for as long as you have, and it's just that there's so much potential, but it's like we said before, unless you play it, you really have no idea what's going on.
We just got to love each other, man. We got to support each other in our own little bubble. And, it's nice to dream about that stuff, but it ain't never going to happen, brother. I keep telling Ryan, we'll catch our big break one of these days, buddy. Don't worry.
And that's so funny because everybody's listening. This is one of the most winningest teams in paintball, and they're still waiting for their big break.
Yeah.
So let's go back to when you and Oliver met. How did that whole thing come about? Or were you friends with Ryan before and then started playing paintball? Or who was your friend who was playing paintball?
So Oliver and I were friends before we started playing paintball. And we went to like kind of rival elementary school or middle schools, but we knew each other. He like dated a girl from my school, and that's how I knew him. I met him at some parties, and we weren't really friends. And then our mutual friend brought us to play paintball one day, and then we became friends. And then we became because of paintball, we became best friends really fast. And then Ryan and Yosh were friends from Sebastopol, which is a town about an hour north of us. And we kind of would see them out there on the weekends, and we'd have run-ins with them on the, in the tall grass. And we really didn't like them because Ryan would always shoot hot. I mean, he would crank his gun and just go in there. Yeah. And Yosh was pretty cool. Like, he never really said much. He's basically the same. And those guys worked at Pacific Paintball, the paintball store, so they had a huge edge on us. I mean, Oliver and I had spiders, and Ryan had like a dope-ass autococker. I remember Yosh had a nickel-plated one, and they knew that some of the team guys on Out of Control, and they even knew like Billy Wing, who was going to be on the Ironman. And so we played a tournament. Our team was called the Monkeys. Me, Oliver, my cousin, my dad, and our other buddy Murray. And our buddy Nick, who introduced us, and we got murdered. And I think Ryan's team actually won because they had like Tim Seaton, who was this like dude, Renaissance fair dude with long hair, and he was like a a sword maker, and he wore like a kilt when he played, but he was like badass.
That's
And then they took us to the laundry. So we got smoked by them, but it was because of Eric Crandall that we all became friends. We really didn't like each other, and then Eric said, "Hey, why don't we all go to a tournament together?" And this was in probably '96, and he drove us all down to San Diego, and we played as this team called Lofty 3. There was Lofty 1 and we were Lofty 3, and we didn't win any games, but we all became friends, which was the important thing.
Yeah. Now, when you guys started playing together as Lofty 3, did you know then that it was going to be something serious, or did you start taking it serious, or were you still playing kind of other sports and this was kind of just like a fun, little hobby at the time, or did it kind of take over?
Yeah, I mean, it had already taken over in our minds because, Oliver and I both came from broken homes, and we didn't have much going on. Like, our parents weren't really driving us to be good at school or make sure we played in, high school baseball or any of that. We were just kind of latchkey kids doing our own thing. Mm-hmm. And paintball kind of brought us that sense of belonging. And that's why we invested so much time in it. When we weren't playing, we were, pretending to play in my living room around the couches, with our guns, like, obviously not aired up or anything, just trying to sneak behind the other guy. And it just became kind of this catharsis where we were able to escape from the rest of the bullshit in life and just completely focus on that. If it wasn't drawing pictures of paintball or thinking about paintball in school, it was reading paintball magazines or going to, Borders Books and Music and picking up APG or whatever paintball magazines were around. And that's what it was about. I mean, it was a really organic thing.
Yeah, no, it's funny that you say all that too, because like I know you're an artist, and with magazines and everything back then, it's kind of the same story that I had, because man, when I got involved with paintball, like I had other things to take up my time, like I love playing baseball, football, but I wasn't the jock per se, because I was kind of the class clown, but then I also loved music and singing and like doing all this other shit, and I think paintball kind of just encompassed all of that for some weird way, and it kind of just took over. And it's like you said, like drawing pictures. Like I would find pictures in magazines and draw them and paint them, and then I would find all these magazines, and it just became so obsessive for me. And I think that's why it kind of just took over, is because there was no room for anything else once I started.
Yeah, and that feels good. You lose track of the bullshit in life, and you're so focused on that it's therapeutic. Yeah, totally.
Now, do you still draw or?
No, I still draw and paint a little bit and do a little bit of digital stuff and here and there, just as a hobby, nothing too serious.
So why didn't you try and do anything like that? Because I've seen some of your drawings and paintings, and they're awesome. Was there any opportunity in that for you?
Yeah, I decided to play paintball instead.
Yeah, no, I like shooting people anyway.
Yeah, so I wasn't going to go to art school. I was going to go move to San Diego and play paintball. So that was the deal.
So around what time and what team was it you were with when you guys won your first tournament?
Oh, God. I want to say, I'm not sure if we got second. We call it the Lofty Curse. We got so many second places. And I think we might have won this tournament in Oregon with like Zach Long was on our team. And it was like me, Ryan Yosh, Oliver, Angel. Man, I don't even know. It must have been like maybe 97, 98. Mm-hmm. And then, God, I don't even remember what the first tournament was that we won. We got a lot of second places, a lot of third places. And it wasn't really till we started Iron Kids that we started winning a lot. And then we just started winning, and we just kept winning and winning. And then we started Dynasty, and we, struggled our first year, but ended up winning. We won World Cup with that whole controversy thing. And then, the rest is history. We kind of were able to because of our age, I think really allowed us the ability to innovate how the game was played. And I
Yeah.
remember going over to Europe and them watching us, and like we'd all run and shoot, and they'd be like, "You can't do that!" Like, like running and shooting like wasn't even a thing there.
Or
So
shoot left-handed.
yeah, or shooting left-handed. They're like, yeah, they would. We call it serving tea because they'd shoot
Oh
left-handed.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Serving tea, Kentucky left hand. You know
Yeah.
who still does a Kentucky left hand really good is Damien and Jason Edwards.
Yeah, no, both
You
those
always see
guys.
him.
Both those guys can sling it. Todd Adamson, he was a OG Kentucky left-hander. I don't think he's ever shot with his left hand, but he was a better right-handed shooter out of the left-hand side of his bunker than most left-handed players.
That's true. Now we kind of talked about this a little bit at practice before the Chicago event was about Angel, and I think I just kind of brought him up because of the position I play and everything, and I thought he was one of such a weapon. I feel like on your guys' team, and he seems so athletic and smooth. Like whenever he played, I always noticed that like he was so well, even all you guys, everything was so fluid. And I feel like all the other teams are so kind of sharp-edged and set ways, and you guys kind of broke that open with how you played. And it's just like, oh, you're talking about like shooting left-handed, running and shooting, and you guys were breaking that mold because paintball back then was such a man's sport, right? I mean, you guys were
Yeah.
the youngest team all around, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's an amazing athlete. I mean, there's very few guys that are that physically gifted that play. I mean, obviously you and I'd say some of the Russian guys like with backgrounds in ballet and like, truly these like Tyler Harmon's even like that. I mean, he's not real smooth, but he's just a physically gifted guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Angel was just, you watch him play, it's very fluid. Even when he got shot, it was like, it almost looked like he meant to do it. But yeah, he was just, he was really crispy, and, he was an OG Snake player, and I kind of think he retired early, but I get it. He wasn't feeling it anymore. He wasn't making a ton of money, and wasn't having fun, and he threw in the towel. But I still believe that he could come back and play right now.
Yeah.
I see him every once in a while. He stays in good shape. He plays basketball, and the guy's just he's just a freak. But again, he's his own worst enemy because paintball is a really cerebral game, and no matter how good you are, if you're in your own head, it can finish you. And what we said, towards the end of his career is that no one wanted to share a room with Angel because he had the fear, and if you got near him, you'd catch the fear, and and so we'd fuck with him about that because he got this complex where he wasn't playing with teeth anymore either because he thought his body was too valuable or he was too experienced or whatever.
Right. Right.
He lost that tenacity that he had in the beginning.
That kind of just go get them, go do your job no matter what. It's and that we're kind of, I don't want to say we're having that problem on Aftershock. It's just, I think the guys are still so young, and there's still so much responsibility on them, where they don't want to die, so they feel like their body's valuable, but at the same time, you have to go out there and do a job, and
that's just the nature of the pro arena right now. Like, that's the way the game is played. It's not played. People aren't playing to win; they're playing not to lose. So,
I hate that.
And that's the best way. That's honestly the best strategy to win matches. A lot of times, I'm not into that at all. But if you want to win a tournament, you have to be able to play that way come Sunday when, you're up a point and you just can't give that extra body away.
Right.
Even the best teams blow that sometimes, but yeah, you have to have the ability to play all those different ways and then know when to play which way. I don't think it's a matter of skill. It's a matter of knowing what to do and when. Because I think the skill sets I practice against you guys. The basic skill sets are the same as the guys on our team.
Right.
It's just the decision making and the understanding of the goal of the game plan, and that's a difference maker.
And I think that's kind of what my personal catch-22 is, right? Like, I want to do the right thing, and I'm sure everybody does. You want to do the right thing at the right time. But at the same time, like, I've always played where I got bored very quickly. Like, and
You
not
want to
that
play the game, man. I
I want
know.
to play the
I watch you
game.
play. You want to play the game. There's very few people, actually. I can only think of, I was thinking about that after watching you a little bit and playing against you at practice. And I mean, I know how you play because I've watched you your whole career. But there's only one other guy right now that I can kind of compare you to in the way you play the game. Just with the, it's not reckless. It's more like of a freedom. Like you play the game like in a very freestyle type of way. And even Oliver didn't have it like you do it. And not even Lasoya. Those guys kind of just are, really bullheaded type of players, even though they'll make a crazy move once in a while or whatever. But they don't play with the type of freedom that you do. And the only other guy I could think of is Malloy, Berdnikov on the Russians. Man, that guy just lets it flow. I mean, he's not as fluid as you, but the moves he makes, really no one else would think of. And if you were on our team making those moves, you get yelled at, even if they worked. That's why I think you're the type of guy that, the way you play wouldn't fly on our team, but we'd make you a better player.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the tough part with all the teams that I've played for is that, they try and put me in this mold, right? And I felt like, when I'm in that box of you need to do this job only, and that's all you need to do and worry about. Like, obviously that is a part of my game, but it's a little bit more broad than that. But like once I'm in that box, it's just I feel like I'm not playing to my full potential.
Right, but you do all the hard work. Like I've seen you do so much hard work to get to a spot or to shoot a guy or give your team some type of advantage in the game, and then you just throw it away trying to shoot a firefight.
Yeah.
And that's the type of thing you need guys around you that can recognize what you can do and then, support that, because you can win a game by yourself. You can give your team an advantage. You're the type of guy that you build a team around because you're that dynamic. But you can't win it yourself.
Right.
You can win a game yourself. You can't win a tournament yourself.
No. And even games are tough, and it's really not like I'm going out there trying to shoot all five guys. Like yeah. I take it. It's hard to explain, but I take it like in steps, right? Like you have these imaginary zones that you go out there and that you worry about, because if you're playing on the snake side, you're not so much worried about the Dorito corner guy, kind of doing his thing. You worry about those 1, 2, or 3 guys that are in front of you. And then you all, obviously listen to the other side of the field of what's going on, or you almost have that feeling. It's like that feeling when you get into a spot, you're losing a couple guys on the Dorito side, and that big fucking W's in the middle, but you have a feeling, or you'd be like, well, I would fucking do this at this point if I was on the other side of the field. So you start shooting this lane in front of D2 or whatever, and the dude runs through it. It's kind of something like that where you think about it in zones, and then you get to the point in the game where it's kind of like, okay, shit, now what's going on? Are all my guys still alive?
You're a masterful player, and I mean, very few guys see the game like you do. And that whole thing you just explained, I don't even, maybe you, Oliver, and Lasoya can see it that way, but I see there's 2 guys over here. It's G1. That means there's 2 guys somewhere else. And hopefully they're not shooting me.
Well, dude, I thank you. I mean, definitely put yourself up there, though. I mean, as a player, dude, you've it's ridiculous what you guys have done. Dynasty and yourself, and I've loved watching you. My favorite part of Serial Killers is, your part. Just like watching you play too. You have this way about you of playing and getting into these spots, and like, the game itself is so mindful too. It's if you say you're going to make this spot, I'm going to fucking believe that you're going to make this spot, and you believe yourself that you're going to make this spot. Yeah. And the way you play and zigzag through everything, I remember this part in Serial Killers where you're running through the bottom of the X, running through and everything. It's just, it's so cool thinking back too, because when you were playing and you were younger and I was on Tip and Effect and watching you guys, I never really knew that I would be up at where I'm at now. And being able to have this conversation with you, or even getting pointers from you, or talking to you like this, and it's really cool how paintball is, though. How you can come up through the ranks. And I'm sure all the other sports are like that, but It's like how your biggest enemies become friends, kind of a thing.
Yeah. And I mean, when you were on excessive, it was like that was like the apex of the whole thing, you know, like you guys were built to take us down, and eventually you did. And, you know, it was pretty epic. But yeah, I mean, not many guys can come up the way you did. I mean, at least now it's way harder than it was, because it's that whole like feeder system isn't really the way that it used to be. But yeah, that is a wild story. You have a great story coming up, playing on 10-minute effect. Who did you guys beat? You beat somebody big when they still had the cross pro brackets. And I remember it was like maybe Avalanche or somebody. You beat somebody and it was like, dude, you got beat by 10-minute effect.
I know we beat excessive one time.
You had freaking Titmans, dude. Like, what is that?
Manual double.
I know, they were real Titmans. Like, everyone's like, you know, you got to have like special Titmans, and nope, they were the real thing.
We had some that were the electronic bolts, but they still didn't have any eyes. I threw a fucking 20-pound halo on there, and like the thing is like a rifle, like holding it like this and playing Snake.
That's why you're so good, dude. It's like playing baseball with the donuts on your bat.
Yeah.
And then you take them off and you're ripping it with whatever ego or whatever you guys have.
I remember playing you guys when I was on Titman 2, and I think we shot it was the Denver event. I think we shot like 4 of you guys or something like that. But that for me, that's when it kind of kicked in. You know, playing for Titman was definitely not a handicap for me. Like I took it as an advantage almost, because I knew that people were going to be like, oh, fucking Titman effects, right? Like, all right, let's fucking mark a W. Let's move on to the next game. Kind of just another game. But I took it as a challenge, man, and I loved it because I felt like it built my paintball character and how I essentially would play the game eventually.
Yeah, I mean, look at you now, man. You've been through it. Who are you? Titman to excessive to Avalanche to Infamous
to Shock to Infamous. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you got a quite a resume there.
But what sucks, I guess it doesn't suck. Like, obviously the adventures of being able to play pro and all the tournaments that I've been to, like, it's so weird looking back. Like, I didn't really win that many tournaments. I never got to play 7-man with the pro team. Like, obviously we had Excess Energy, which was still a really good team with Maddie and everybody. But when I went to Avalanche, we got a bunch of fucking seconds. Like, we played you guys a bunch in 7-man. Got a bunch of seconds. And
yeah, but you took those like whatever 3 or 4 years off. Yeah. And that's pivotal. I mean, who knows where you would have been if you kept with it.
Yeah, I don't know. See, that's the thing too, though. There's like I feel like I stopped the same reason how you explained Angel stopped. Like he wasn't really in it. Not necessarily that I felt like my body was worth more than what it was. I think it was just like the traveling started beating on me, and I wasn't having fun. It was starting to get really serious, and it just wasn't fun for me. And I think those 3 years off actually was better for me.
Yeah, I mean, our team's been through that too, and it's like, we've taken it way more seriously than it actually is, and I think that was detrimental to some of the guys like Angel, BC, OB, Skinny, like some of the guys that stopped playing. Because it just wasn't fun anymore. And then, I kind of think about the same thing. Like, what if Oliver never left the team? And then, when he did, it was like kind of panic mode, and we picked up a bunch of guys that we didn't need. And then that made the team weird. And, now we're at the point where I think that we realize the stakes aren't high enough. So having cool guys and having a good time with your team is like paramount. And if the work ethic is there, and the guys know that just because they're on Dynasty doesn't mean they're going to win, then we realize that, then you'll be on the team and we'll do it together. Because we don't have the most talented group of guys right now in paintball, but I feel like we have the chance to win every tournament if we do it right.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's something that people lose sight of, is they think that there's a better guy out there, especially younger teams. They want to go pick up a ringer or get a better guy, and that's just not the way to look at it. You have to cultivate what you have and believe in it. Like, a great example is, the Yakmek brothers
on
Impact. So Zane, the younger brother, never got to play. Like whenever they got into a situation where it was like a must-win game or, they needed the point, Bart would say, Zane, you're sitting, because just the team didn't have confidence in him.
Right.
And then we did a thing over in Europe where we did a Dynasty Impact combined team for like a year. So we played with all those guys. And actually, Zach and Josh were on our team, our X-Ball team in the U.S., I think, during that same time. So we were playing this tournament. We had a rotation of like 6 guys. And I pulled Bart aside. I said, look, man, I don't give a crap if we win the tournament, but if you want your son ever to get better, you're going to have some confidence in him, because, you got to cut your teeth. The way you get better is you fuck up in a big situation, right? Or if you never get that chance to either succeed or fail, then you're not going to get better. So we said, here's a rotation. We're sticking to it no matter what. No one blinks. We're not putting Greenspan in the finals over Zane just because he's on, it's his turn to sit or whatever. And we did it and we won the tournament. And, ever since then, Zane has been, he's not the most explosive player, but you can count on him. Mm-hmm. And ironically, he was the guy in there that, one of the final points last weekend that fucking blew Ryan's head off and gave Impact a lead. So
yeah, I was gonna say that too, because Zane last weekend was just out of control. Yeah.
So I mean, a guy like that, all he needs is the confidence of his teammates, mm-hmm. and even though they beat us, I feel like in a twisted way I get a little piece of that, because if it wasn't for me, I don't believe Zane would even be playing.
There you go. Boom.
Yeah. Hear that, Zane? If it wasn't for me, you'd still be playing in the woods, buddy.
Thank you, Alex. No, and I was going to bring it back to the Chicago event for a little bit, because I look back at the event, and this was kind of one of those events where, dude, I felt like every team, with the games that I watched, and then going back on the Go Sports and watching, games that I didn't get to watch because of the other bracket or whatever, all of these games were pretty fairly close. Like, I mean, everybody looked really competitive in Chicago, and there were points where I was watching, higher end teams play, like the Impacts, and some of the guys were sitting. Like, I saw Laval in a couple games sitting a bunch of points, or Goldman sitting a bunch of points, or with you guys, I saw Tyler sit some. Or you were trying to find that mix because all the games were so close, and everyone was just super competitive. And then, how many overtime games did you guys have? Do you just have 2?
I know every one of our games is a 1-point game except for Damage beat us by 2. So, every game was very close. And I mean, I kind of like that, because at the upper divisions, it should be like that in any sport. Right. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't be having blowouts and stuff like that at the pro level. But I think the way the center is kind of an equalizer. I mean, when everyone's sending up 2 bodies up there to trade or whatever, and no one wants to move until those guys are out of there, then that's a thing. But yeah, I mean, at least all the teams seem to have figured that out, and mm-hmm. That makes me happy.
Do you think the W is going to be around next year?
No, I think they have some new bunkers. Jason Trozen was showing me. It's kind of like this cheese wedge thing.
They have it over on the 10-man field.
Yeah, I think so. I didn't go look at it, but yeah, it's probably that bunker.
Oh my dude, 10-man is so much. Like, obviously, I want to fucking be playing Sunday over on the pro field, which we are going to at World Cup, but that's just
World Cup Aftershock magic. You guys made it deep a couple years ago.
I want to see a Dynasty Aftershock rematch finals.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be in there.
But the dude, like 10-man, I've played, I think, what is it, 3 this year, and I was never able to play 10-man coming up, and it's a lot like 7-man, and I love 7-man. I don't know what format you prefer, but dude,
yeah, I mean, 10-man's a story. Each game is a story. It's you could go down, then you could come back, and the fields are usually bigger, so you can hold off 6 or 7 guys with 3 or 4 guys, and mm-hmm. it's a blast. I played a couple years ago in Dallas with like all the Aftershock guys. Actually, your boy Bruno was on the team, and we got second place. We had like the stacked team, and we got second place. So like these dirt napper guys that are like these big fatzos that like beat our ass. It was fun though.
Yeah, we had I think it was an AC or maybe Dallas or something. Like we had this. I don't know if you heard of Tsunami. There's this 10-man team that like blew us to pieces. And this last event in prelims in 10-man, we got pretty much blew off the field by Destiny. Like they had like 3 or 4 girls, and like Special Robinson was playing for them, and they like.
Oh, Special messed you up, dude. I bet he could go. I bet you could give him a gat, and he could come right back into the pros. Like he was a solid. I just watched him pull
like a 3, like it was like a 3 or 4 on one during one of the 10-man matches. I was like,
it's like it was nothing. Old Twinkle Toes. He's got a big body, but he kind of tiptoes around like a ballerina.
Oh yeah, they lost him every spot. He knew exactly what he was doing. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, but you have a good group of guys there, and Mike really cares, and I think that just keep at it. Who's that kid from Kalamazoo, the young short guy?
LJ,
yeah, I like him.
Yeah, he's good. I'd like to see him. What's that?
Velez is solid. You guys got a good group. You just, man, I don't know. You just
still young as a team.
Yeah, I feel like you just got to play, man.
Yeah.
You worry too much.
Yeah.
Don't worry about winning. Just go play first.
I mean, I don't know if it's the pressure of like, because we're so down on the totem pole right now, where like if we don't perform, we don't win, like the whole relegation thing. And
I'll tell you what, dude. I saw you walk out fucking G1 when we played you guys, and I was relieved. I was cheering from the sideline, dude. I was like, yeah! And the funny part is you ran in that bunker 100 times in practice, and we never shot you. Did you run around the thing? Is that what happened?
So, I did it twice. So, I would go. There's 2 different routes, and I've done them both, and they both worked, and they've both also didn't work. But at this particular time, dude, I ran around that tall temple, and you guys clapped me up twice.
That was a mistake, bro. You should have dove straight in there.
Well, I was thinking about it, and I wanted to go to that little wing bunker where, safer. Further up. I thought that was such a sick bunker, and we just decided maybe they won't shoot it because I've been going everywhere else, and no, wrong choice.
Man, that's the only reason we won is because we shot you right there.
No, dude, my guys will come through. But yeah, we did. But thank you though. I mean, like hearing something like that from you, from like one of my idols, is like it really means a lot. Like honestly, it really does,
well,
and that's why I wanted your jersey.
In that match with a crazy ass shot.
Okay, so I'm gonna send you a picture. But it wasn't
lucky.
Why? Well, maybe there's a little.
I mean, you dotted me right in that fucking eye.
I have a picture from Gary Baum. There's one where it's of you in the center, and it's right when you're getting that center ball, and it's like just exploding. And I was like, I know exactly when that happened. I
almost didn't go out because I felt like it was an unfair shot.
You know they gave that kill to Rodarte on the webcast.
Is that the guy that bunkered me?
Yeah, after the fact.
Yeah.
I was watching the webcast, and I remember Matt goes, "Oh, okay," and then Rodarte goes around and kills Alex. I'm like, no, that was definitely me. I did that.
Let him live, man. I was happy he came around because then he died after.
Yeah,
I felt like I did something at least.
So what had happened, and it actually has happened a bunch, is where like, because I would always run and shoot to that God bunker, right? If I'm going to a tower and like, let's say a pin or something like that is kind of blocking the X site or whatever, I would always run and shoot to that spot and then dip down. But as soon as I would see a guy is in there, he would obviously have the upper hand, and I would hit the ground. So whether or not I would shoot the guy in there, I would call red, which is our X call or W call. I keep calling it fucking X.
Yeah.
Or the W call. So I never know whether or not I shoot him because I'm just letting Ryan know that there's a guy in there. And then
so you essentially screwed yourself over by communicating.
By shooting the guy and then by communicating.
Mm-hmm. Good shot though, man. I will give you that.
I was right-handed, so.
Mm.
That's what's fun though. Like that's what I love about this sport is that, dude, we can joke around about that and like have a good time. And obviously it's a fucking tournament, but I feel like when that starts to lose its luster, paintball's not fun anymore. Like when everybody's too fucking serious, you can be like, oh, you fucking shot me, so I'm gonna. Like that whole match, I couldn't shoot Ryan Greenspan to fucking save my life, dude. I had him so many times in my crosshairs, and there was one where we won the point, and he got shot by somebody else, and I go up and I hit the buzzer, and I yell at Ryan as he's walking off the field, I can't fucking hit you to save my life. And I looked like he laughed earlier, like he said, yeah, whatever, you shit. So, but it's like, it's fun
That's
that we
cool
can
though.
do
That's
this.
fun, but it didn't used to be like that. Like before, when we played Aftershock when we were like first coming up, or like it was like scary. Like
Yeah.
people, on the field, it was on, dude. Like you knew it was gonna be a battle, and that it was gonna be like fisticuffs after. Like Sawyer was gonna throw his gun. It was craziness.
Yeah.
It's fun both ways.
Yeah. So like I play very intense, but I feel like the best way to get you off your game is to shoot you, right? To get you off the field.
Yeah.
So kind of that's how I play it. I may talk. Me talking shit is like, hey Alex, nice fucking hair. Like I'm not very good at talking shit, so it's like,
No,
I kind of talked about
shit.
it too, bringing back your Spiderweb do.
Oh yeah, my wife would love that.
And I don't know if anybody listening, if you go back and look at pictures of Alex back in like what 05, 06.
Yeah, something like that.
They're not some crazy dudes.
Well, you know what that was from? John Almera used to be like a gangbanger, and he knew how to like do that haircut. So he like hooked me up.
He did that to you?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so if you ever want a spiderweb haircut, it's like gang member official. Indian John's your guy.
Oh, it was so crazy. So you played for Dynasty your whole career. Has there ever been an opportunity where something came up where I mean, obviously you were a founding member, but was there ever something that came up where it was like money related or anything else like another team wanted you?
Not really for me. I mean, I've had a couple teams try to get me, but nothing crazy like that. I just don't think people thought that I was good enough individually to justify like that big money offer, even though it might have destroyed our team, which is ultimately what would have worked for a lot of other teams. It just, but I don't think I would have done it because it just, the way our team started was, we were an amateur team as Cap Factory, and Ryan was going to go play for Avalanche. Yosh already went to the Ironman. Oliver went to the Ironman, or Oliver was already on the Ironman. And BC was like, dude, what am I going to go do? And I was probably going to go on the Ironman and like not play, because they already had like a stacked roster of guys at that point.
You don't think you would have played?
No, they had all the OG guys. Like they had, Billy Wing, Eric Roberts, Micah, Rich Telford, like, Maddie, like proven dudes, pros that, Oliver was on there. And that's probably the only reason I would have gone on the team is because Oliver was there. And, I would have got to practice or whatever, but I don't really think I would have been a key player, at least for the first few years. And BC said, dude, what am I going to do? Like, and I'm like, well, we gotta figure something out. So then I talked to Ryan and convinced him not to go to Avalanche if we could go pro, because his whole prerogative was he wanted to go pro. And
he was going to go to Avalanche.
Yeah. And so we got Chuck Hench to commit to back a pro team, and we picked up Rodney Squires, Glenn Forrester, and then Chuck, and then we rounded out our team with Johnny Perchek, and let's see, who else do we have in that original team? Sonny Lopez, guys that kind of just had been around and
guys
weren't on pro teams. Yeah. And that was the first team. And ever since that, the very first tournament we played, the LA Open, we beat Image to get into the finals, and we knocked them out. So we got into the top four, which was huge. I mean, let alone it was at SC Village on our home field, like playing on the hyperball fields that we played every weekend. So we had a huge advantage over everybody. Mm-hmm. But just being able to do that, our very first tournament was like massive and gave us a huge boost of confidence going in and earned us the respect of those guys. Because without that, and I feel like we did it the right way. We weren't like young punks. Like, I think for the most part, we understood that the guys we were playing against are, what makes pro paintball what it is. Mm-hmm. I don't know who, like, guys that I looked up to were, and again, like, I never really had the desire to go be on another team. Like, Oliver wanted to be on the Ironman. Like, ever since he heard that pro paintball was a thing, he wanted to go be on the Ironman. And that was his dream. And I think, Ryan wanted to be on Avalanche because he looked up to LaSoya and those guys. But then quickly after, I learned that Ryan was like a very, very not only loyal person, but he's very intuitive to what, what's going on with the people around him.
You
Even
can
though
say
he doesn't
whatever you
seem
want
like
about Ryan. He's probably not going to listen to this. So
he
you can
doesn't
say
seem
whatever.
like that. He's a real, like, he seems like a real prick, and people don't like him the first time they meet him. Like, he's not a real good first impression guy, you know.
Yeah.
And I get that, but you know, he is the guy. He's the one guy that stuck through the whole thing with me.
Yeah.
And you know, I gotta respect that.
Yeah. Who was somebody that you looked up to when you were playing?
I mean, I didn't really look up to anyone unless unless I knew them. So like guys that I knew and ended up being cool guys, like or had even competitors that played a big part, like Rich Telford. You know, never played with the guy, but you know, respect him a lot. Has taught me a shitload about paintball and life. And I'm sure he's taught you too, because you were on the team with him.
Oh, yeah.
Really good guy. You know, Bruno, a lot of people think that, you know, he's a troublemaker, which he is, but he was, you know, because every time we'd play Shock, it would be like me and him in the sub, and we'd play GoldenEye 007 at the tournaments together. And, you know, he was one of those guys that was a pro guy when I wasn't a pro player, that was really nice to me. And I understood that, you know, some of these guys are just regular cool guys. And, you know, I respected that about him. Rocky Cagnoni, you know, really taught me to have fun playing the game. Don't take it too seriously. And again, you know, he knows the stakes aren't high enough to have a bad time. You know, it's not like you're losing $1 million if you get knocked out of the tournament for making a dumb mistake, and you can laugh about it, you know, and you can, you know, with his stupid hair and that whole thing. Like, I love that. You know, I look up to him. You know, guys that I've played with, Glenn Forrester, Rodney Squires, Eric Felix, and then guys I'm still playing with, I look up to. Even the younger guys on my team, I look up to. Like a guy like Kyle, like he's way younger than me, but he's way more mature than I was at his age. Just innately a good person. Yeah. And you know, like I can admire that. And like Tyler Harmon, like his passion, like I will never have passion like that guy. You know, it's not possible for me to have that. But
and so humbling too.
Yeah, and I see that, and I'm just like, damn, that's cool. So yeah, and like Marcelo, his work ethic, and even though he's really dorky, he's like, you know, dude, the guy is just,
I can see
you know, he's like personifies what a paintball player, pro paintball player should be. And I respect that.
So what do you think about yourself has kept you at this top level? You know, I don't want to say it's, you know, I'm not going to answer for you, but I don't want to say it's because you're one of the founding members of Dynasty. But what do you think? Is one of your attributes that kept you playing at this top level?
Well, I kind of feel like at practice and stuff, I feel like I should be being pushed out by the younger guys, right? Like there's a natural thing where the younger guys should come onto the team and want to play more and want to play harder and want to do it better than the older guys. And that's just never happened to me.
Like no one's ever like.
Yeah, like even now, like you were out there, none of those guys wanted to go play hyperball. I was like, dude, let's go play hyperball. Let's rip it. Let's stay till the sun goes down. Let's play one-on-ones. Like that's why I think I've been able to, at least from a playing standpoint, been able to stay competitive. And also, you know, like, I mean, Ryan, I still feel like he's at the top of his game. We're the same age, but he plays a lot more than I do. But yeah, man, I mean, and I still love doing it. And that's the way I'm going to go out, man. I'm going to get booted off. I'm not going to go out gracefully. And then when that happens, you know, I'm still going to go play on an amateur team if I can. But
you just love the game.
Yeah, I mean, I like playing the game, and I like doing stuff with the team, and I like being part of a team, and I like the guys on the team. And, you know, I like helping the team, and that's the deal, man. I mean, you get it.
Yeah. So I mean, do you think it's because like at our practice, you know, we just want to play paintball. Period. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. You want to just play paintball because it's fun. I mean, do you think doing drills, you know, sun up to sundown, all the time, do you think that obviously everybody wants to get better, but do you think that kind of kills it of wanting to just have fun and go out there and play? You know, everybody trying to be so serious about it and so
totally, dude.
Sharp.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, you will get better if you do things like go play on the hyperball field for fun. because that's the reason you go play walk-ons, go play the UWLs, go do that stuff. Like, man, it gets monotonous if you don't do that. And, it's just, that's why we all started playing, right? For fun. Mm-hmm. So if you're not having fun doing drills, then, take a break from the drills.
Yeah. Because even during points, like obviously I'll do my drills that I feel are needed, but during points and during playing paintball, if you need, the game will tell you whether or not you need to work on shooting left-handed or snap shooting or whatever, because you'll get fucking shot, right?
Yeah.
So you'll know what you need to work on, and you just do it as the game progresses or the day progresses, I guess. But
yeah, man. I mean, if I feel like I need to work on shooting left-handed, I just shoot right-handed out of the left side.
Problem solved. Yeah, that's me. That's frozen. It's every once in a while it'll freeze, and I'll make a funny face, and it's frozen there for everybody.
Yeah, you're like staring right at me. Actually, I'm gonna take a screenshot of it and just so I can show you. It kind of psyched me out for a minute. You're like stone cold face on me.
This is my ventriloquist face.
But how about you, man? Like, do you miss some of the, like, what about, like, Tiljack or Adam Geis or, like, those guys that, like, I feel like those were your boys, right?
Yeah, man, those Avalanche days, I felt like I felt like back then we had on Avalanche what I felt you guys had on Dynasty, a few years prior, where everybody was just young. Obviously, I mean, some of you guys are still at your prime, but everybody was firing on the same cylinder. We were consistent. We were all hungry. But I miss it, but I know I can't control it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was the team, though, that you needed to keep together.
Oh, yeah. Roger Henn.
Yeah, Roger and even Fat Frank, man. He could play. He was on the team for a while.
He would always be alive. You could always hear him on the field, and as as weird as he was, dude, he was a threat on the field for sure. And I feel like that was a team to be reckoned with back in the day. When
he was on our team, we'd be out of practice and we'd be like, where the fuck is Frank? Like, we were running points. We'd look over in the park and he'd have this or in the parking lot, and he'd have this antenna set up so he could like do fantasy football during during practice. It's ridiculous, man.
He's so goofy. I remember I saw him a year after I came back from that little hiatus, and he had like braces, and he like was like, his high voice, like, oh, hey, hi.
Yeah. What the fuck was that?
What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, he's nuts. But with Avalanche, I mean, we played you guys a ton. I think we had a couple seconds with you guys in 7-man at least. I know we weren't playing Pro X Ball at the time. We were playing like Open Division or whatever it was.
Yeah, I was a fan of that team, and I think that you guys helped put Eclipse on the map, I think, at that point.
You think so?
I think so, yeah. I mean, you were like their marquee team, and I feel like Eclipse like was cool. Like, I mean, it's still cool, but it was like edgy then.
Yeah, young, hip.
Yeah. Sorry, my wife's leaving.
No, that's all right. Well, let's talk about that quick. You're married. You have a little one. Do you think that is kind of your family life? Do you think that's going to roll over into your paintball career, or is that going to be like, is that going to take away from your paintball career?
I think
spending more time with them.
I don't know. My wife's always been super cool about the paintball thing. Like, she's if I'm around for too long, she's like, dude, you got to get out of here and play paintball. So that's definitely.
That's all right.
Hey, stop it! Here she is.
Oh, so tiny.
Yeah. Get out of here. But yeah, like, I mean, just seeing a baby at the tournament, like, if somebody, like, I saw Sloviak's kid, and I was like, man, I miss my kid.
Me too.
And I feel like that will play a part. But again, like, I really, I'm lucky that they're supportive of it, because I've seen people that if their significant other is not supportive of it, then it just makes for trouble. I mean, I didn't listen to Nikki's podcast, but like, I know that his wife just is not into the paintball thing, and that's probably one of the big reasons he's not around anymore.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that is just hopefully you got someone that's supportive of you doing it, and obviously you do, and that's cool. So I'm gonna keep doing it.
So you're saying they're probably more of a motivational thing, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't like. She's not even like. I don't even think she's ever watched the webcast. She's been to like a few tournaments. I remember she was at World Cup, like it was like the finals against Heat, and I like turned around in the flag station. She was like in the bleachers reading her Kindle, like she didn't even know what was going on. So like she's pretty rad like that. Like, you know, just is happy that I'm doing something that I like.
Yeah. So where do you see the future of Dynasty and yourself?
I mean, I don't really know, man. I think that, you know, I think the team will be around like past, you know, the goal is to keep the team around past, you know, me and Ryan and Yosh and you know, that thing. That's one of the reasons we're starting this paintball gun company, is to basically ensure life after paintball. And, you know, we'll build guns and hopefully be able to sponsor the team one day. Well, we're sponsoring it now, but, you know, without losing money. And ensure that, you know, the Dynasty name lives on, because, you know, obviously our playing careers aren't going to last forever, but I'd still like to be involved in some way and keep the team afloat. I mean, you know, Shock's still around, Ironmen are still around, All-Americans should be around. I mean, they kind of are. Like Heat is kind of, I still kind of envision them as like the reincarnate of the All-Americans, but yeah, I think that the future of the team's looking pretty bright. I mean, our roster right now is pretty lean. We're down to 8 guys with the loss of A-Rod, but yeah, I mean, once Impact and Heat pick up all their guys, then there's still a shitload of good players left over for the rest of us.
There you go. So about Field 1, I mean, is that really what, you know, how it came about? Is you guys were trying to think about something else besides playing paintball for your future, and you know,
kind of that
came around?
Yeah, and it happened really naturally. Like, we've been friends with Bob Long for a long time, and, you know, he became really disillusioned with the state of the industry and just was over it. And his company kind of really, the customer service went down and the quality of the products was kind of decreasing. And we got to talking with him and ended up deciding to buy his company and try to rejuvenate his brand. And I think that we really have a good thing going. I mean, designing a paintball gun doesn't happen overnight. And, you know, if anyone understands that, it's us. And we know how to work together because we've known each other for so many years. And we know the industry and we know what people like and what they want. And I think that eventually we'll be able to have a line of products that are competitive and hopefully people enjoy them. And, you know, hopefully we'll be sponsoring you one day.
There you go. I'm sure everybody would enjoy a gold dragon intimidator.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to reboot the our gun coming out. We're gonna try to get it out, have some prototypes for World Cup. No guarantees, but you know, that's what we're shooting for. And then our next project is probably gonna be reboot the Intimidator.
That'd be pretty sick, man. That was one of my first. I had a GZ Intimidator.
Yeah,
it was like one of my first high-end guns. Dude, that thing ripped.
Everyone had an Intimidator at one point, man. I remember we were shooting Angels, which I love those, but we had Angels with like VL 2000s, and we were at practice Bob Long's guys, and they had Halos with Intimidators and like WAS boards, and it was like, ropes. Oh my god, you could just never run anywhere. It's just it was just a snake coming out of his gun, and it was just not fair.
Yeah, I remember your guys' transition from Angels to Shockers. And I remember how big of a fucking uproar it was. Like, it was just a team, like, switching sponsors. And I was like, oh, can you believe this? They went from Angels to Shock. Oh, my God. Traitors! Like, it's like, come on.
Dude, we had no choice, man. We had to do it to keep the team alive. Like, literally, WDP guys paid us Angel guys paid us in, like, beer and, like, letting us into their, like, VIP party at the tournaments, you know? And our sponsorship package was who could take what from the booth. Like, you'd go in and be like, oh, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that. And each individual, like, there was no set amount of stuff that the team got. It was crazy. And Smart Parts came in and was like, dude, we're going to give you big dough. And we were like, where do we sign? It was like Wayne's World when they signed the contract. And like, you need a lawyer to review this? Oh, no, it's okay. Like, $5,000? So where do I sign? You know?
Yeah, dude. That'd be so sick, because I remember, like, back on Excessive, you'd just go to the JT booth and just be like, Just grab whatever you need.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
5 lenses, pans, all kinds of
For
shit.
days, man.
All right, man. Well, I won't keep you too much longer. I would love to continue this conversation eventually. Maybe at the end of the year, or talk to you at World Cup or something. I wanted to sit down in front of you and actually have a conversation. Obviously, this was great, but I love the face-to-face ones because the vibe is so much better. But
Have a beer.
yeah, and I think that's the thing too. Like, I want to do this more often, not just with yourself, but with other people. But I feel like at the events, that goes back to the whole everybody's so serious thing. Don't leave your hotel room. Stay here with the team. This and this and this and this. But I would love for this to eventually break out into something like where I'm going to San Diego for a podcast with
Yeah.
you.
It would be cool if you could like set it up at the field. I know the audio is an issue there, but like, that's kind of a cool place to do it. Like you do like, and you wouldn't have to get crazy on time. You could do like a 30-minute piece with a guy, right? And you could do it, right after he plays and just pick it up that way. Instead of having to do like the whole rigmarole, come over to my hotel and driving and all that. They're doing that, the webcast there. It could kind of just be like, behind there or something. You should talk to Maddie about that. He might have a good idea about that.
I actually talked to, because I had this idea, and I actually got a hold of a Camille in Chicago, and I'm going to have a booth with a table, some banners, power, and a few other things. But I'm gonna have it in the actual trailer area where all the vendors are.
Right.
I'm gonna have a booth in there, and I'm gonna be doing podcast right there in the vendor area.
Who do you think is the most interesting person you've had so far?
Dude, I really, really didn't expect. Well, not that I didn't expect it, but I thought it turned out really well. Was the Greg Hastings one?
I haven't listened to that one yet, but dude, I haven't seen Greg in so long, man.
Oh, it's so. He had a couple stories, man, or a good amount of stories that were really, really cool, and just his whole how he came about. And
did he talk to you about being on the sub?
Yeah.
Dude, he was a Navy diver. Those stories are insane, bro. Like that guy's lived like multiple lifetimes.
It was ridiculous, and how he was a break dancer, and then how Reds came about and all this shit, dude. It was really cool.
What a lot of spirit, that guy. Yeah, I'll check that one out.
Who would you like to see or hear on the podcast?
Have you done Dave Baines?
Not yet, no.
He'd be a pretty good guy to have. He's been around the block. Probably has some interesting opinions on stuff, and has been through a lot of shit in his life. So,
yeah.
Who else? And I like the old school type of guys, but the thing about that is everyone's got a story, and some of these guys that you don't think would be interesting actually are. You just got to ask the right questions. I'd say, obviously any of my teammates, because I know them. But I like the idea of doing guys that aren't big name guys, like the younger guys, give them a little piece,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've been trying to do that. I've been trying to go around and get a guy from every team.
Or maybe a ref. What about a ref?
Oh yeah, there you go.
CJ.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Jason Trozen, that would be a good one. Jason Trozen, because he's been a player, he's been a ref, and I really think that he's trying to do his best to make it good. And I don't think it's been like that for a while, where there's like, a head. I guess he's the head ref that really gives a shit about it and
That's
trying
a thankless job for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep trying, man. I'm just gonna keep. Because I think everyone. Obviously, not all the podcasts are gonna be ringers, but I feel like if I do, if I ask the right questions and everything, I think all the podcasts have been really interesting because of everybody's story being different.
Yeah, we got to bring it back. We got to get the podcast thing back, because Maddie really had a good thing going, and then it went to shit. You're kind of revitalizing that, which is cool. And then we got to get some print magazines, some print stuff going back, like from Inside the Net. If you're out there and you haven't checked that out, check it out, from Inside the Net. It's a magazine you can buy. It's more of a book, actually. It's really nice photos, and I've got one on my bedside table right now. And he's doing some articles now, and it's kind of a one-man show, but it's really kind of a grassroots revitalization of print media for paintball. And I think that's That was one of the coolest things growing up in paintball was seeing that magazine, man. Going finding that new issue of PB2X or Splat or whatever it was, or Faceful, and that's just gone now. Like you go to the tournament and that's the first thing you look for, find your picture in a magazine.
Dude, I loved it. I was obsessed.
Yeah.
But he's doing a great job, dude. Those pictures are awesome. All the photographers out there, we're doing a great job. I always get geeked whenever I see a picture of me. I think every paintball player kind of has that.
Sure.
But seeing it in a magazine is just something else.
Well, I can tell you what, they can't capture your speed in a still picture, brother.
They try. They don't make a camera that fast yet.
No, they don't. Yeah, all right, man. Technology's not available yet.
Yeah, getting there.
Yeah, it's like a hummingbird's wings. You can't capture it. Yeah.
But it's so mysterious and beautiful. All right, bud. Well, I gotta get going. I'm just gonna let you get back to your family. But dude, thank you so much. I would love to have more conversations in the future, which I will definitely.
All right, brother. Take care.
All right.
I'm gonna go put your jersey back in the frame.
Sweet beans, bud. We'll talk to you soon. Later. Thank you so much, Alex, for taking the time and sitting down with me. I had a great time. That was really cool to have a conversation like that. And usually, any of these conversations that I have with these guys are the longest that I've ever had for the most part. And he was one that I really wanted to sit down and talk to, and just kind of pick his brain and see what it takes for to run and manage and coach and captain a championship team and be a part of a championship team. And I think it was really cool to be able to sit down and talk to him about that. So thank you so much, Alex. Very much appreciated. Another big thank you goes to our sponsors, drpaintball.com. Remember, you can go to drpaintball.com and you can enter to win a Die M2. So, if you don't have a Die M2 and you want to get one, then head over there and figure out how to enter into that giveaway. Also to Charm City Paintball. Remember, guys, they have the pack bands. My signature series pack bands. If you want to find out more information about that, go ahead and check Charm City Paintball's Facebook page. He also has headgear over there, or contact myself about it. So thank you to Charm City. Thank you to Carbon Paintball, the makers of the top and bottom base layer, and the SC pack that has been ever so popular, that has a little pumper in the back and it conforms to your back. It's all high-end material and meant for the top of the line players. Actually, it's meant for anybody who wants it. It's just top of the line quality, made for any and all players out there. So thank you to Carbon. And lastly, thank you to Planet Eclipse for providing the most sick-ass sweet beans marker on the planet, the LVR. I'm so glad I got to get my hands on one of those. Those things are limited. And, yeah, dude, it shoots so good. It's awesome. But thank you to Planet Eclipse. Head over to planeteclipse.com for all of the great markers that they've ever made, ever. I guess at least the ones that are still available are up there. But they've made some sweet markers throughout their whole career of making markers. They've been in the public eye about it and have done nothing but raise the bar every single year. So thank you to Planet Eclipse, and thank you to you guys out there in the listening world. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Really, very, very much appreciate it. And if you want to get a hold of me, I am on Facebook at Carl Microwave Markowski. Also, there is the Playing On Podcast Facebook, and I also have an Instagram under C Markizzle and the Playing On Podcast, and hopefully a website will be up and running soon. That's another thing that I've been trying to work on, but just like anything, it takes time. So thank you guys. I mean, that's how you get a hold of me if you have any questions, or if you guys have any guest suggestions or anything like that. Just go ahead and send me over a message, and I will be sure to answer. But thank you guys for listening, and until next time, this is Carl Markowski saying peace.